Here's a general walk around my Rumely oil-cooled tractor engine. You can see the carburettor there. That's a slightly scaled up version of E.T. Westbury's 1831 carburettor. You can see the mixture control there. It's fed from the petrol tank, and the advantage of the 1831 carburettor was that it allows the fuel inlet to be very low down, because there's no float chamber and there's no fuel pump. The engine is a single cylinder, 30cc, it's 30mm bore, 42mm stroke. It's a copy, well, a vague, slight copy anyway, of a Rumely Model F, which was the only single cylinder Rumely that was made. Most of them were twin cylinder. I've made the single cylinder one for ease of manufacture. I designed the engine myself. You can see the spark plug at the end there. The spark plug's homemade as well. The insulator's made of worktop material called corian, which I managed to get some free samples. The flywheel's steel fabrication, made from a ring of very rusty steel, which I got for nothing, and it's got the spokes silver soldered into the hub, and then the overall is turned. It's 7 inches diameter. The crankcase is a steel fabrication from 6mm steel. The timing gears, the cooling system is a thermal siphon. The cold water comes in at the bottom. The warm or hot comes out the top of the water jacket there. There's a slight rise on the pipe there that you can see going to the radiator. The radiator was quite a feature of the Rumely tractors. I'll take the cover off it. The radiator's a steel fabrication, stainless steel fabrication, soft soldered together. That water in the top there just from an overspill when I was pouring it in. The water's poured in at the top there into the header tank. It has 2 holes running up the centre, which was a feature of the Rumleys. The exhaust, as you can see, is from here. The exhaust quite a feature of the Rumleys was the chimney. Tried to reproduce it here as closely as possible to brass fabrication. The exhaust gases going up the chimney caused a draft through the radiator, so it didn't need a cooling fan, and that drew the air through the radiator and cooled the engine. Of course, originally they were oil cooled, which enabled the running temperature to be much higher than it would have been if it was water cooled. Unless it had been pressurized, which probably wasn't in vogue at that time. It would have made construction difficult in the radiator anyway. So the oil cooling enabled it to run at a higher temperature, which enabled it to burn paraffin efficiently. This was one of the first paraffin tractors. The original was called Kerosene Annie. It was probably built around 1908. The Model F was the smallest of the heavyweight Rumleys, being 1530 rated. I think that means 15 horsepower on the belt and 30 horsepower pulling. Well, maybe it's the other way around. The ignition system on this engine is quite interesting. It's homemade, and it's a modified gas lighter running off a 1.5 volt battery, with a few modifications to the circuit, which you can find by searching that on Google. Google gas lighter ignition. The chassis was very heavy on these Rumely tractors. One of the reasons I chose it is a very simple fabrication. It was just 12-inch steel angle iron, which formed the basis for the engine. I welded it all around rather than riveting it, make for simpler construction. The ignition timing is operated by a micro switch, which is driven by a magnet, which is mounted in the aluminium timing disc there. So the timing can easily be adjusted. It has an advanced retard lever here. I've got it set so the spark's just about at top dead centre. Seems to run best at that. An unusual feature of the valve gear is that instead of them being push rods, they're actually pull rods. These are operated by cams upon the camshaft with roller cam followers, and they're all readily adjustable.